So Alex Glenn, Partnerprograms.io is the brand, and we are sitting between agencies and tech leaders. So we help tech partnership teams kind of formalize the right pitch for agencies and help them kind of go to market with agencies in a number of unique and interesting ways. This presentation, I believe we want to focus it on how to gain buy-in. So anyone that struggles with working with agencies, and I'll define what we mean by agencies here in a minute, but these are unique animals, so they deserve a unique approach. Contents, don't need to worry about that. What to know? We'll start here. So oftentimes when I work with a new tech partner, don't worry about that, they struggle very hard with agencies because agencies are entities that most of us, if we're on a software tech team, we have not been agencies. We have not operated as an agency. We have not been in their shoes. So working with them, selling to them, figuring out what they need from the relationship early on is tough. So a large part of my day-to-day is kind of unwrapping the mentality of working with agencies, who they are, with the partner teams, getting them to understand what they need, why they need it, and really that's around incentive structures. That's around what matters to the agency. How can I truly partner? So when we talk about agencies, these are consultants sometimes, these are third parties that influence the adoption of software, right? So they're non-tech teams that influence the adoption of software. Now, these are the types of definitions that we talk about today. So these are the ones that I can talk about and what we talk about in the presentation. So these are referral and implementation partner agencies, pure content partners. This is a type of partnership that I don't think tech teams do enough of, where they think about how do I convert a content partner to a reseller or referral partner. And I stress that you can have partners that will never refer. They will never be a revenue driving partner. They purely create content with you. They influence the decision of their audience and your audiences. Reselling partners, of course, and co-selling partners, pure co-selling partners, similar to content partners where you may have agency users in your network that aren't in the business of referring, in the business of CCing you on an email introduction. They just won't do it, but they will go to market with you in a co-selling fashion. And we help teams understand how to segment and how to pick and choose those different audiences and create those relationships with each one. This is a big part of it too. As a tech platform, your agencies may use you for just internal purposes, just client work, or both, right? So these are some companies that we work with. These internal use only, these are back-end tools that create content. AppBind, of course, these are tools that the agencies will use and the client may at some point interact with that tool, but it's where the agency lives and the client doesn't really have an account with that tool. They're not in that tool, right? Then there's both. Both is where, hey, I'm an agency and I have a retainer. I'm going to use ChargeBee to power the retainer sales, right? They're going to be my payment gateway. And also I have SaaS clients that I'm going to implement ChargeBee with because now I'm an expert of ChargeBee. The SaaS client needs ChargeBee to power their recurring billing. That's both. Then there's the client use. This is where it's very difficult and it takes a lot more from a partnership team to get partners where the software is purely client use. The agency does not need a heap account. I don't need a $2,000 event analytics platform for my agency website, but I work with mid-market e-commerce and Heap is perfect. It's a harder sell because the agency can't tinker as easily with a tool that is only used by the client. They really have to have that demo account, that sandbox account. They have to have that very first client that wants to use it in order for them to go down that road of expertise, right? Same thing with Postal, Recart, Trustpilot, these guys. Now, what to know before you make your first calls? What to know before you go down this road of really working with agencies? Now, first thing first, every single interaction with agencies has to be about what are you going to do for them that day, right? So your first interaction and your second interaction and even your third interaction is give, right? You want to be the friend of the agency. You want to be that person that's in their calendar to give you something, to make sure that that relationship is seen as a positive relationship right from the gate. These cold emails and these cold calls and these LinkedIn requests about joining a program, joining an affiliate program, signing up for this, joining a webinar, you know, these are just a nuisance for most agencies. You have to enter their inbox and enter that relationship with what are you going to do for them today? And then you have to articulate when and how the agency is going to become more than just, hey, a content share or a, you know, that basic relationship. And then the billable hours for the agency. This is part of the psychology of the business case for the agencies. They don't see you as a source of cash, as a source of commission, as a source of referral revenue. They see you as a potential to build services around to better client services, which means the actual financial incentive for them is not in commissions, it's in billable hours, right? What does your tool allow them to do around their current retainers? Maybe it allows them to go upstream, go more mid-market enterprise with their current service offerings. Maybe it allows them to tack on ancillary services to go wider, to go more horizontal with the relationship and add more value in the retainer, right? So think about that. It's not about the commissions that you bring, it's about the billable hours and the bettering of the services that they currently offer. And what sales training and co-selling support that you provide. So ongoing support, this is huge. You want to make sure that they are going to be taken care of, that they feel comfortable entering the relationship. I heard from one agency that he estimates about $10,000 to $15,000 in expenses to learn a new software. So every time he's considering a new partnership, he has to think about changing his blog. He has to think about training his team. He has to think about the time he has to spend with you on demos and on that first account. It's about $10,000 to $15,000 in he's a mid-market enterprise agency. And that's a big ask. So you got to think about that while you're talking to these agencies. You're asking them to take a very large amount of time, effort, expenses to learn your software. So be honest with yourselves about that. Now, what we're really trying to do here with agencies is move from a transactional relationship to a more one-to-one person relationship, right? We call it the people are your partners. Everybody has their own sort of culture around this, but the main thing to understand is these are people. They may have bought something from you, a software account, or maybe you're just in this cold relationship building phase, but you cannot keep it transactional. You have to figure out a strategy to move from transactional to relational. So anything on just understanding the agencies before we get into the data? And I'll breeze through this data because we've published this, we've seen it before, but anything on the culture of an agency, just the mindset, any questions there before I move on? No? Okay. Now, the state of agency report, what we did is we surveyed a lot of agencies. This is old, so these numbers are now at around 200 agencies. And what we're trying to look at is what's the relation between the size of the agency, also the vertical, we've got data on that, also what types of services they sell, and really how valuable the partnerships is for both sides, right? We want to know how valuable the relationship seems for the agency and how valuable it seems for the tech partner. And one of the biggest realizations of this is not only are smaller agencies obviously easier to work with, you know, they have less red tape, less people to get involved, less implementation, but they are oftentimes the highest revenue contributing partners. Now, this is a different type of relationship. These are more of the implementation partners, more of the referral partners, but these smaller agencies are still in their very savvy. People rely on them to advise them on tech, right? People rely on them to do implementations. These are the under 50 person agencies are great partners. And a lot of our partners seem to miss that. They seem to want to go straight after the 200 plus person agencies because they feel like that's going to be the best, biggest exposure for them. When if you have revenue numbers this quarter, go after those smaller agencies, work really closely with them and get into their book of business. Now, this data, this is from HubSpot. You can check out that on your own. Smaller agencies surveyed reported upfront costs as one of the biggest barriers to entry. You can see all the different barriers to entry here. Channel conflict, client ownership. I mean, we tried to really ask them anything we could think of for a barrier to entry. Upfront costs were one of the most clicked, but once we got on phone calls with these agencies, it became more of a support and really just a lack of alignment. You know, they, in a drop-down survey, they will select upfront costs, which is a big pain point. Of course, they're a smaller agency. If you're NetSuite going after a smaller agency and you ask them for 30 grand to get involved in the program, that's going to be a barrier to entry because they don't have the budget. But the bigger things there that we discovered is just the lack of alignment. You know, too many partner teams just saw them as an easy win, didn't really understand who their target clients were, what vertical they were in, what services, who their current partners are. And we're trying to push the relationship without really finding that alignment first. Larger agencies are more interested in referrals as well as alignment there. But the referrals from the larger agencies, this is a right up front need with some of the larger agencies. They will not go into a relationship without knowing when and how do you bring me business, and obviously the free software accounts that go along with that. We learned a lot. The smaller agencies, again, you know, we surveyed a whole lot of smaller agencies. Just the bigger piece of the pie are smaller agencies, and that was the bulk of that. So anyways, Evan, any questions on the agency data that we got? I mean, we're going to put out a new updated report, so hopefully that'll be ready in January for everyone. We'll try to get a link posted in the CSA for that.
Alex, was there any like specific asks from the agencies around like what that commission, like what the importance of that commission is? Like, I think there's always this like standard thing that a lot of software companies do, that they just assume that, okay, we got to give them a cut of the profits right off the bat, and that's the only way that these guys are. And I mean, fair enough, that's the only thing that is just easily equatable, like where it's like, okay, like we're going to give them a cut. Here's how we're going to establish a relationship and go. But I know for a fact, like, and you kind of touched on it there too, is like, you know, the ramp up period, there's so much there, and most SaaS products, the price point is just too low to justify more than, you know, just coming on for commission only, right? So like, did you touch on any, like what specific questions did you ask around that, the compensation, I guess?
Yeah, we do have a big question about that. And in the report, there's a whole section on it, and they do quote, you know, commissions are something that they will find value in very late in the relationship, right? So when you've been working with that agency through the first stages, you've got clients together, you are maybe helping them upgrade their clients into bigger accounts. At that point, that's when commissions will be a factor. Now, all agencies that are approaching you for your partner program will ask about commissions. That's something that they just have that knee jerk, I'm the business owner, so I have to think about revenue. But in reality, it is not something that is going to create a partnership, and is not something that's going to keep a partner. We are seeing more and more bigger programs now removing commissions completely from their program. Databox is a perfect example of that. They offer bulk discounts. Their partners can buy bulk licenses and distribute those and charge whatever they want, right? That's huge. You do not need to have commissions if you are a larger product, a larger price product, then commissions can be valuable. That's the one caveat, right? If I'm Sendoso, I think maybe someone from Sendoso's on, they have a very expensive product. It is a very, very very heavy lift to get Sendoso up and running in an account. It's a heavy sale. A lot of people will be touching it, and the agency that is helping with that implementation deserves a piece of that, right? But the biggest thing to stress around commissions, if you start the relationship with a dependency on commissions, you are effectively creating a salesperson who will only worry about the financial incentives of the relationship. And if you do not keep those coming in a very continual fashion, where if they referred someone month one, and this will happen, they'll immediately think about their Rolodex, they'll refer someone month one, and they will flounder in your program for 5 months, 6 months, 12 months. And the reason is because you sold them on this idea of who can you get in quick and get that $5,000 commission. They did it, and they are not growing as quickly as they need to be growing to sell more of those commissions, which leaves you with a partner that's just sitting in your program. They're sitting on your balance sheet, and they are not even thinking about your program. But if you started that relationship with, hey, we're going to go to market together, we're going to create some content, we're going to co-sell on these accounts, we're going to have this evolving relationship, you're going to be offering services on top of our solution, but first let's get you acclimated to what we do and keep it progressive and keep it continuous. Then you have a partner that's not thinking about commissions, and that is going to be a better partner. So even though you have commissions, I just stress you do not make commissions the reason why they should partner, right? So what to focus on this stage: co-selling partners and content partners. So this stage that I'm talking about. This is the program market fit stage of your program. You know, this could be year one. It could be the first couple of years of your program. But even though you have revenue goals, you are going to be better off creating revenue out of your program by obviously creating more relationships and creating that reciprocity in your program. And frankly, it's just easier. So start off with these two partners types as a focus, get buy-in from the team, and then we can proceed, right? So ecosystem viability, what I want to talk about here real quick. So we have two types of partnerships that we want to focus on. Now what we want to do is look internally, look into the ecosystem that we have, and also some cold data, some external ecosystems, maybe our integration partners that have partner programs. But what we want to figure out is who in this ecosystem are going through a major change, right? What types of personas are going through a major change? This means change in maybe service offerings. Maybe they're rolling up into a program that you sell well with. You want to start thinking about who's going through a major adjustment, and at what point in their decision-making process does your platform fit in? And is there a lot at stake around that implementation? So this is for the customers, the users of your platform. If there is a lot at stake around the implementation of your tool, a lot of buy-in, a lot of resources, there will be a third party involved in that decision-making process. Now, are your prospects involved with an agency to advise them on this transition? Like I said, the chances are probably yes. So this is just kind of getting the team up to speed on where the customers are at and why there is a third party, a consultant or an agency that's involved in that decision. And then obviously we go into segmentation. And the material need, number 4, this is important because if your solution does not solve a material need, meaning if I pulled your solution out of the stack, would it impact revenue that day, that month, that quarter? If so, it's going to be a little bit easier for you. That's the CRMs of the world. I mentioned Sendoso, et cetera. But if I pulled out PandaDoc, if I pulled out the back end solution, if I pulled out their project management tool, would it be a material issue? Would it be a revenue impacting issue? No, it would not. Therefore, you have to be a little more strategic, find that co-selling partner that you sell well with, that has a material need, and create that sticky ecosystem. Now we're still in the planning phase. We're still in the deciding, do we have program market fit? Are we ready for agency partners and really ready to be a good partner for agencies? I like to look internally for some of this data. Before you do any cold outreach, you want to figure out who inside of your current user network is an agency or a consultant So you have to go in and you can scrub your CRM for more than one account. If that record of your CRM, that user has 5 accounts, or they're listed on 5 accounts as a user, guest, admin, etc., probably are acting as some sort of an agency consultant. Pull them out, and then you want to run a poll. You want to figure out who are having trouble selling or who hates selling, right? Do you hate selling? Do you struggle with sales? Now, second question, do you like creating content? Are you good at creating content? Third question, are you a savvy software implementer? Do your clients come to you for tech expertise? So what you've done is you've created a little bit of an internal dialogue and a database of who inside your ecosystem that know your product are good at selling and are potential partners, who are good at content creation and are potential partners, and who are savvy tech experts and potential partners. And you want to keep those people close. They're going to be who you first bounce your co-marketing agenda off of, your messaging off of, create the partner tracks that we talk about, those services that people can sell on top of your software. Your goal here is to get closer to your ecosystem of agencies that are current users first if you have them. Some of us don't have them, or maybe it's very difficult to find them, but that is a routine that's going to start the real education on why are people good at using and referring and reselling your product versus not, and if they're not, what are they good at? What do people come to them for, right? Now we're in that phase of, okay, well, we started to wrap our head around our partner program. We understand kind of what's going on in our ecosystem. We feel like we're ready to do some outreach, to get more people in. And notice I'm not talking about incentive structures. We talked about commissions. Don't think about commissions, but incentive structures aside, we all have different incentive structures, so I don't want to spend time on that. But let's just say hypothetically, you have a little bit of flexibility to work closely with these partners on a number of different levels. You'll want to make sure that you have that well-defined above and beyond your incentive structure. What are you going to do with these partners? And we have a month 1, 2, 3 suggestion towards the end. But before you do any outreach, poll the users. We already went through that. Define your partner personas, your ideal partner personas based on their services, based on their known partners and their tech stacks. This is where a lot of teams fail as well. They'll define their ideal partner personas by, a lot of that firmographic data that really doesn't mean much, the size of their agency, right? Their location, what they call themselves, marketing agency versus consultant. And they'll kind of loosely define their personas, but they don't really get in and say, okay, well, what services are they offering to what size of an audience? Who are their current tech partners now? And really boil that down. Those are the biggest 3 questions that we ask ourselves. It doesn't matter if it's a one-man shop or 200+ person agency. If you aren't aligned on the services that your tool helps support, the known partners that your tool is an integration partner with or works well with, and then their tech stack. They have a WordPress site or a Webflow site. They use Salesforce as a CRM, but they're not partners with Salesforce. But your tool works great on top of Salesforce. That means they can tinker. That means they can use you internally first before they roll it out to their audience. You have to know those things to make sure you are able to have those relevant conversations with them. And then you start developing your lists. There's a number of ways to do that. You can start bouncing these ideas off of your internal stakeholders, those ones that we polled. And then after you've developed your list, you want to look at each segment that you're going to go after and see if there's a partner that you sell well with to go after each segment with, right? So a good example of that is we work with Attentive Mobile. They're very enterprise upstream, not our best wheelhouse, but we want to help them. So what we did is we said, okay, well, what's going on with Attentive Mobile's ecosystem and what are agencies really interested in? Well, SMS marketing is, yes, it's interesting, but it's hard to sell that, right, to an agency partner. We went after one of their integration partners called Optimove, which is a CDP that enriches a whole bunch of data. We said, Optimove, we've got to run a campaign with Attentive Mobile. You have an integration that makes the SMS marketing concept way more attractive. Now I can enrich a full customer profile and send hyper-segmented SMS. Let's talk about that. And then we found an agency that's in both of those networks to create some content together. And the offer to the agencies, honestly, we got them just offering the thought leadership, just being that, that person on the webinar, that person in the content. But you can offer them things like free accounts. Of course, you can offer them things like using their referral link if that's attractive to them in the content that you create. But the main goal is find a co-selling partner for each segment. And however you segment your audience, there will be someone that is already talking to that segment that you have an integration partnership with, or maybe you don't, but you just happen to co-sell, or sorry, sell well with, meaning they're using both of you, even if you're not integrated. Now, you have your targets and you have your idea of who you want to co-market with, that agency and that tech partner, right? Now, the partner incentive structure, this is all we need to talk about for right now. But the first thing you want to do is determine when and how you will funnel referrals to the agencies. You want to have that answer. Now, you may not want to talk about it because that answer may not be great, but the least, at the very minimum you can say about who and how you refer to the agencies is, hey, you know what? We create lots of content with our partners. The very first step with all new partners is we get you in our blog. We want to talk about you and we link to your website. That blog reaches this many visitors, that YouTube channel reaches this many subscribers, and talk to them about the reach of your brand and how you involve them in your brand. So it's not, I'm going to send you a referral. It's, I'm going to put you in front of our clients, our traffic, our users, so that you can attract those referrals. Now, what is your referral commission and how are you going to track it? They will always ask, but again, this is just a knee-jerk reaction in most cases. I'm a partner, I feel like I need money from that, and then they'll ask the question, right? Next, can you create content, events, promotions? Do you have an MDF fund? Obviously get that out of the way. And then what level of support are you going to provide each partner? Do you have a sandbox account? Do I get a free account? More and more partners are requiring the free account depending on the price point, right? Now, this has a link down here that you can go to and check out on your own, but this is a strategy that you can use to take a co-marketing partner all the way through to a co-selling relationship. And the main premise here is you have those loose partnerships where you've done a webinar with these people, you've done something. And a lot of partner teams, they don't think about the full transition, the full strategy of communicating to make sure you're guiding them from, hey, we are going to do this webinar. And I don't want to try to overburden the conversation and stop the progress of doing a webinar by asking you to join Crossbeam and doing all these things to get ready for a co-selling relationship. I want that, but I don't want to stop the relationship in its tracks by giving you all these to-dos before we can do a webinar together. What I want to do is strategically make sure that you are helping me create this content, that you are getting it in front of your audience, that I'm enticing you and incentivizing you and giving you the check boxes you need to email it to your list, and then requesting that we go after some of those overlaps together. And yes, it becomes a co-selling relationship, but you're not entering the conversation with, hey, I want to create a webinar and, oh, it would be great if you shared your list with me and I shared my list with you and all this stuff. So just to think about that, you can read that on your own. I'm going to stop for a quick second because there's a lot that just happened, but any questions at all right here? Okay.
There's got to be some questions, guys. Like, got to be some questions.
It's okay. I mean, this is kind of, you know, it's.
Yeah. Corinna, you got any questions? I'm going to put people on the spot. Or Brianna. Oh, these guys are on mute. It's all good.
No, yeah. I don't have anything yet. This is all really, really great information. Cool.
Yeah,
I absolutely love it.
Cool. Awesome. Cool.
Yeah. I probably will at the end. So check back. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm going to try to breeze through this and get to the good stuff. This is all, honestly, this is the boring stuff. I'm trying to get through this super quick. Now, LinkedIn strategy, this is important. You have your co-selling partner. You have your segments that you have that co-selling partner with. Like I mentioned, Attentive Mobile, Optimove, The agency partner was Aptitude 8. All three of them are your circle. You want to publish that collaboration. You want to get contacts from Optimove, Attentive Mobile, hopefully at Aptitude 8, the agency. And then you have your lists, you have your audience, you have your overlaps, you have your segments. You can even run ads on LinkedIn to other agencies that look like Aptitude 8, right? You can use Ocean.io to find lookalike agencies to Aptitude 8 based on Aptitude 8's URL. And we have some content on that. Point is, you've got your audiences, you've got your collaborative content, you've got the hook, right? Your partner track plus your partner incentives plus the content are your three hooks. And if you don't know what partner tracks are, we talk about that on the blog. But the main thing is you've got your hooks, you've got your agency audience. You want to reach out on LinkedIn. You want to keep this low fidelity, low touch. You want to make sure that you're not bombarding and asking them to join a partner program and doing all the webinar link introductions first. You just want to kind of connect, talk to them on a one-to-one basis, ask them questions, and then the emails go out. The cold outreach can be effective if you do it right, and we're going to talk about how to do it. But I always suggest reaching out on LinkedIn first, giving them that connection so that they can do their own research, they can get to know you. Now it's time for cold outreach. We have received over 50 emails from our agencies where they'll CC me on all the cold outreach that they find valuable and not. And they'll just say, hey, great email. You would love what they talk about at Partner Programs. Or, hey, you know what? I'm not interested. You should probably check out Partner Programs. And the emails that I get are wild, but we get some good ones occasionally. And this is one that all of our partners agree was valuable. And I'll show you why. So this is Chat Fuel. Mary does not go into a lot of detail about Chat Fuel. In one, not even a full line, she mentions, hey, I'm Mary from Chat Fuel. We're a no-code platform for building messenger bots. That's it. I do not need to give you that information. You can check out the link if you want and go to my website. Here's what's important. We're running a weekly YouTube show for our audience of businesses and marketers. And I'd love to have you as an expert guest. Stroke the ego of your potential partner. They have egos. Tell them that you know they're an expert and you want to showcase them to your audience, right? Here's the topic. Now it's becoming actionable. You don't end it like, hey, let's do some content together. No, Mary has a specific piece of content that she wants this agency involved in. And here's our audience. You may not have this type of audience, this size of audience, but you have something, you can just say, hey, we've got a blog that receives thousands of visitors a month, or we also have a newsletter. We also have a Twitter account, whatever. You don't have to be specific, but if you do have a large audience, obviously be specific. And then finally, we'll give you a free Chat Fuel Pro account as a thank you for participating, right? This hits on every note. Again, stroke their ego, super actionable. What are we doing together? What is the audience size that you're going to get in front of for doing this? Oh, and also if that's not valuable enough, we're going to give you a free account. And you want them to have that free account, not just as a gift, not just to entice them to work with you, but to tinker, to use it, to become an expert. You got to get them to use the tool. That's the hardest part for most of us. Now, a bad example. I don't have to go into all of the reasons this is bad, but this person did not talk about what she was going to provide this agency that day. What actionable sort of next steps? Why would I, as an agency, even respond to this email? She talks all about the tool, all about themselves. Agencies don't care. In this first outreach, they do not care about your case studies. They do not care about your G2 crowd reviews, about how many customers you have, about your logos. All they care about is what can you do for me today, right? If you're doing cold outreach. Another one, this is important. I get these a lot where I'm involved in a tool because I was just testing it for a client. And a couple months later, or a week later, or whatever, they asked me to become an affiliate. And I have barely used that tool. I've never talked to this person before. And they send you this. And it just kind of creates that tarnished relationship where we don't even know each other. And you're asking me to promote your product? What about all the, dating? I want to be taken to dinner first. I want to at least understand what's going on before you ask me to become an affiliate. Now, the do's and don'ts of cold outreach, like I mentioned, hyper segment, do offer value right away. Don't ask to be their partner in the cold outreach. Don't even talk about the partnership, right? Yeah, you can mention it in the footer, PS, we have a partner program. It's great. People love it. Honestly, these are people that do not know you. They need to know you first. There's a little bit of a, a gradual build. So don't even talk about the partner program, honestly. Don't sell your product. Biggest thing. Do not pitch your product. Do not sell it. Do not talk about how great the product is ever in the cold outreach. Now, finding your circles. This is a strategy for looking internally in the ecosystem and starting to develop that organic growth from your partner program. So Sanir asked me before we did this, he's like, how do you create a partner program for agencies that scales? And the answer, unfortunately, is product. Your product is the crux of your partner program. Like it or not, your product team and your product marketing team are going to be the ones, and your integrations team, those building the integrations, are going to be the ones that create that hyper growth that we see in the Webflows and Zapiers of the world, where they can just come out with some incentives, come out with a funnel, and they don't have to do much. They've got the ecosystem, they've got agency users. All they need is the place for them to go. But what we can all do is show agencies how to make the most out of the partnership and make that a part of the process, right? And to do that, I'll show you a couple agency personas here and how they connect and how the circle develops. And then your job as the partner team is to showcase that circle, how those three people got together, what they do with the product, and put that into your partner program's entire process, right? This is Alex. Here's his agency size, what he does, annual revenue from partnerships, current software partners. Now, the biggest thing is where they're at today and what they use and what they're kind of looking to do with partners. On the flip side, I think you all know Ashley. Here's her partner persona. They're a larger agency. She has a role of partnerships. These are two different people. Alex back here was the founder. Ashley's head of partnerships, right? Two different, totally different personas with different needs, different goals, different real-time needs, and yeah, the whole thing that I just mentioned. But would they be good partners for early stage programs? This is important. Ashley requires a lot. You've got to have budget. You've got to have a very, very specific, how are you going to go to market with Hawk Media, right? They do everything in a very, very repeatable way. They have their partnerships process before they even get you into their sales system, introduce you to their sales team, allow you to spiff their salespeople. There's a lot that goes into it, right? So if you're in an early stage partner program, you want to look over at Alex and you want to say, Alex, what can we do for you? What are the pain points you're having? How can we get this going? Because he actually contributes a ton to his partners, but you would never know that looking on LinkedIn. He just looks like a small shop and not that big. On the flip side, Ashley, although a very big co-marketing partnership with Hawk Media can result in some exposure and some leads and some obviously branding, that's what it is. It's exposure, leads, and branding, where Alex will get in and he will get you implemented in the first 3 months of the relationship, right? So if you're looking for immediate revenue in an early stage program, don't look at the Hawk Medias of the world first. Look at these more tactical agencies. Here's Connor at Aptitude 8 here in Chicago, CRM implementation, HubSpot, Salesforce, Diamond partner. And he's small. I want to mention that. That's the big thing. He's under 10 people. And then there's Gabby from Chuje, but she is not the founder. She is not the one making the decisions on what partners to bring in and how to work with those partners. Now, they do a lot of business, but obviously working with Gabby and working with Connor are going to be two totally different relationships. Now, how to enable agencies like these? First, have to show them how to build the business around your partnership, the smaller agencies. Again, we're not talking to the Ashleys at Hawk of the world. We're talking to the Connors and the Alex. You have to show them how to build a business out of your program. The best partner programs do this very well. Show them what the end of the road is. Give them something today to make sure that they're staying on that track and feel like they need to reciprocate, right? And then instill that trust and support. Be on calls. Do not put them through communication loops with your team. This is something that Connor actually mentioned on our last call. One of his biggest issues with a new partner, it was Aircall, I believe. He emailed them and CC'd a client, and he thought he was in touch with the right person at Aircall for his referral. He was trying to get that person built out on Aircall, implemented, and he had to get that person on a call with someone internally at Aircall. They referred that client to 3 different people inside of Aircall. And that client was so fed up with the email threads and not knowing, and it looked really bad and it was embarrassing for Connor because it looked like he didn't really know Aircall. He said, I'm a partner of Aircall. They're going to take care of you. He emailed who he thought was the person, and that person CC'd someone, that person CC'd someone, and it was just a disaster. So the support and the accuracy of the support is enormous for these early stage programs. Now, circles, this is essentially looking at your ecosystem as who's connected, who's already working together versus speaking in those silos, speaking at tech partners over here, agency partners over here, and co-selling, co-marketing, different types of partnerships over here. You have to go into your ecosystem and you have to uncover what people are doing with your product for their business on all sides, right? So a circle is typically your solution, another SaaS that adds value. I mentioned the Attentive Mobile and Optimove, and then an agency who knows both, ideally, or at least knows one really well and knows the other kind of, but could be an implementation or referral partner for you guys. So you find out who those people are. You bring these new circles to your ecosystem, right? What is the comprehensive service that your partners can offer? Who's currently doing that? Plug it into your content, plug it into your partner program, showcase. They're not use cases, they're not case studies. They are very tactical, almost like help desk documents, right? Look at your help desk documents. We pulled one out of a help desk the other day that was a full Klaviyo integration with Gadsby that was a micro influencer service. And it was buried in their help.gadsby.io or .ai documents. We pulled that out. It had screenshots, it had videos, it had very step-by-step how-tos. We turned it into a course, and now they're going to market with Klaviyo with this course, right? And agencies are loving it. You have to figure out where those are. You have to do a little bit of research, a little bit of conversations. This is the same thing with Aircall. How does it work on top of Salesforce? Who's involved? What does Connor do? What does his agency actually do, right? So Aircall wants to partner with Connor. They know he's a Salesforce implementation partner. They have to show Connor, hey, even though it's a lightweight implementation, it's a native integration, it doesn't take a lot of your time, you have to show your partners, this is the business that you're going to build on top of my product. There's billable hours in there. You know, there's customizations. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do. Now, some check boxes for, do you have product market fit? Does your team understand the agency mentality? Share that with your team. And then a 90-day rollout. This is pretty general, but obviously everybody's got their different positions and where they're at with their program. So it's hard to make this any more than it is. But the first thing you want to do, if you haven't, poll your agency users, those users with multiple accounts, poll them, find out what they're good at. Start segmenting first by who in your network, in your audience, in your email list, whoever you have is good at sales, has good content creation capabilities, and is good at implementations, savvy tech, right? That's important. Use this data plus some other enrichment processes, like I mentioned, Ocean.io for finding lookalike audiences that are based on a URL. Start building those hyper segmented lists. Create your class, your case study class that I mentioned, right? What are the key services that each one of those segments are going to be able to offer on top of your solution? Articulate those however you can, even if it's like a help desk doc with embedded GIFs and how-tos and go here, do this, but create that hook and then bolster that with a, what are you going to do for your tech partners offer that day? So you may do something for those that struggle with sales, different than those that are great at content, different than those that are savvy tech implementation. But you have your offer, you have your full track, and that's what you go and sell. Now, February, find those tech partners you can sell well with, generate some content in conjunction with them, and then you can start using the 3 of those to reach out. LinkedIn first, then go out to cold email, test that. It doesn't work for anyone. If it starts to not work and clearly not work, you don't want to tarnish any URLs, and maybe something where you will have to go one-to-one with your outreach. And then using all of that you've formed, using the lists and using your new knowledge of your ecosystem, figure out what's going on with the circles, and then approach these circles with a co-selling agenda. You know, cross-beam, share work, have free accounts. There's nothing prohibiting you from testing out a co-selling agenda and getting that to work for your brand. That's it. Let's do some questions.
Thanks, Alex. That was great. I think there's a lot of information there, and part of that was by design. Like, we really kind of wanted to get this in there, and then kind of split off into separate topics and themes and stuff. So if you feel overwhelmed, that's okay. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, Alex is here to answer them, and then for whatever is left over, we can take it offline and into the Slack group. Alex is an executive member with the CSA, so he'll be poking around in there and answering questions. So yeah, why don't we start? Does anybody have anything they want to add?
All righty.
I have a quick question. So sorry. I have a quick question. So with enabling partners, I feel like we also have to really enable our teams internally to really get bought in and know that they can leverage partners in specific instances and situations when they're working with their customers. How have you seen success there from maybe some other companies in the space where they really got buy-in from their internal teams first to leverage those partners?
So the buy-in is around what type of partners, to be specific? The lack of buy-in?
Let's just say agencies.
Yeah, so this is, okay. So the struggles, usually distraction, obviously. It's usually budget and distraction and just, hey, this is working so well. Why would we want to go ahead and spin up this new segment, this new target, this new focus? And sometimes it just hasn't happened before. So it's hard to put yourselves in that situation as a CEO or as a CRO for, is it going to work? And it's a really big risk to go ahead and test it out. And the biggest thing that you can do is prove with data, show what has happened based on a third-party engagement in that sale, right? So if you reach out to all of your biggest wins and you just find out who their agency is and what level of impact did that agency have on the Sendoso, I think it's Sendoso in this case, build, you know, were they actually writing copy? Were they creatively coming up with those packages? Were they involved in the referral on some level? And finding out who has been involved in each one of those sales. And maybe even they were involved in some level of an upgrade. Like I mentioned, those big transitional periods, your clients are going through a big transition, meaning they just raised a Series A or a Series B. They need to do more. They've got budget, right? Now their goal is to come up with a campaign that includes Sendoso and sending out all these gifts, right? In that conversation, that line of conversation, that line of thought, there was somebody, an agency, a consultant, somebody that said, hey, we should do this, right? This could be good. Or maybe someone internally thought about it and asked about it, but then there was a third-party sales consultant that recommended Sendoso. And that's what caused that new client of Sendoso to actually buy the account. Your job is to figure out who those are, where they come from, put together that sort of case study pitch of, hey, this is what happened with this account. This is who was involved. Here's another one. That person looks just like that person. That agency looks just like that agency. And wrap it all up with, okay, well, if I want to repeat that to show my CEO that this could be something, you've got to look at a little bit bigger of a market and say, All right, well, how many of those are there? How many of those types of agencies are there? And have maybe one quick conversation where you can get a yes from one of those agencies to say, hypothetically, if we had a program that trained you and your team to manage Sendoso for your clients and gave you all the support and maybe even threw in some discounts, would that be valuable for you? Oh, what if it was white labeled? What if we were behind the scenes? Would that be valuable for you? And get them to say yes to a couple of those questions. Bring that all to the team and say, we have this many people that look like these people that were involved in these sales. And they told me, this guy over here who looks like all these people told me an affirmative answer for all of these check boxes. If we have this, they will buy it, or they will jump in, or they will enroll, right? All of that. Does that help?
Yes, that was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, and we do have a shameless plug. We have a partner enablement masterclass coming out. I mean, it's part of it's published, but I have about 4 classes left. Partner enablement is the biggest struggle for all of our partners. How do you get someone to return an email? Yes. Do a co-marketing event, webinar, piece of content? Yes. Those are all table stakes. Those are easy. We can all do that. But how do you convert that person to becoming a referral partner? How do you get them to send you business? How do you get them to open their pipeline with you? That is the struggle, and it takes a lot, and it's very hard. We're learning that every day, but we've talked to the biggest names on all sides, the people that support big co-marketing, co-selling, and partner enablement relationships from the back end, the tools behind it, plus the partnership leaders, and plus those agencies that execute those. And when you hear it from all 3 sides, it starts to make a little more sense, and it starts to look a little more doable. And Stacy, I mean, I hate to call you out, but we are working on something so cool with Smile Software that I think all teams should look at. And we call it product-led partnerships is the term that we're trying to coin. But all it is, it's super simple. You find the use cases for your product. You put those into some type of UI, a marketplace, a template. If you go to KIITE.ai/templates, I think is a perfect example. And you brand those templates with agencies who would love to have their name on that use case, right? So if I'm Klaviyo, I want to know how e-commerce, mid-market, food and beverage agencies are running their omni-channel campaigns. And I want to put that into a detailed how to set that up, what it is, how does it work for the end user, the client, the actual paying brand. And I want to tack an agency's name at the top. Hustler Marketing, put them at the top. And I want to send that template out to Hustler. And I want to say, hey, would you like to be the thought leader behind this strategy? We know you have those clients. We know you use Klaviyo. Why don't you just have this? Here you go, right? Now, if I'm Hustler Marketing, I have a landing page with my name on a URL that I can send my clients to. It's so much easier for an agency to send clients to a URL that has their brand on it than just sending them to your homepage to schedule a demo. It says, okay, well, not only am I the thought leader, Klaviyo has told you that I'm the thought leader. And, oh, by the way, here's how to use Klaviyo for your business. And it's laid out for you, right? If I'm an agency, I'm going to send people to that URL all day long. We have an Airtable PRM. We have a rose.com template for finding data. I send people to those 2 URLs probably twice a day, right? And I am not partnered with Rose. I am not partnered with Airtable, but I'll send business their way all day long because they branded a URL with my brand and a template with my brand. Does that make sense?
So Alex, here's the thing. So I know I work with quite a few software companies. They're in this weird spot where, you know, an agency is a good partner for them for a variety of reasons, whether it's agencies that use the product and they know how to use it really well, or the type of clients that agencies work with are ideal clients for this. So, but the problem is that they don't, you know, from the higher up, that there's this direction of like, okay, let's get as many agencies on board to bring us customers, right? So they get that direction, and now they're in charge of doing that, right? And when I say they, I mean like a person or maybe two, like small teams. So, you've got a target, usually it's a revenue target that they expect from you, and putting together these, tactics around kind of bringing them on board, creating the relationship, expectations, and then in turn, them spitting out essentially a referral client. Ideally, they'd love to be able to spend that time with them to nurture them. All of that stuff is great. But I know you mentioned a couple of tools and templates and things like that, I think that's what for me, like the question is like, how much of this has to be completely custom, individualized to the agency and the relationship, and how much of it can be, quote unquote, templated, and then reproduced with a small team, right?
Yeah. And this is the great thing about the strategy. And if we can recap here with some action items, it's like, okay, well, if you build it, in this case, they will come. And that means that if you create the circle, the example for other agencies to follow, meaning here's a great agency, here's our product, here's an integration partner, here's the service that you can offer on top of us, and here's an agency saying how great it's working for their clients and how well, it works and everything great about it, and here's how I did it, and here's a template, and here's everything that I've done. You create that. That's going to be what other agencies follow. Right? And then your job is purely marketing. You have your marketing team get it out there. You as a partnership team, your job is to ideate, come up with that package, showcase actionable stuff to do as an agency, as a potential partner, and then get marketing to do the rest. Put it in the blog, put it in the newsletter, right? Drive some traffic, SEO the shit out of that. Get a directory up, right? Lean on marketing to do that. Your job is really just to find out what's happening, package that up really nicely, put it into some system, a PRM, whatever else. And then marketing's job is to make sure that it's apparent, visible all over the place, right? And they'll want to do that too because it's free content. They've got to come up with content every month. Hey, give them some content to push out, right?
And if I could jump in, I'm just the only one on my partner team. So I totally feel you. Just what Alex said, you rely heavily on your marketing team, and that's what we're doing as well.
Yeah. Get by.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot, Alex. I think we take this into the Slack channel as well. And if anybody has any questions or any themes and topics that interested you, post it on the Slack channel. We'll work with Alex to maybe create a smaller kind of mastermind session around that particular topic. So let's take it to Slack. And Alex, thanks a lot for joining us, and we'll chat with everybody soon.
For more great insights on partnerships and software, like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next video.